Can Ohio State and Ryan Day get back on top of the Big Ten East?
ATL Jacob, ATL Jacob.
Welcome back to another Big Ten preview. Today we're doing the Ohio State University Buckeyes, okay, our favorite team here. Obviously, last season coming off a disappointing loss at home to that team up north again, not winning the Big Ten, not winning the division. We did go out and play our best football game against the Georgia Bulldogs in a game I thought we should have won. We outplayed them. We were the better team that day, and we still, sometimes the best team doesn't always win. So we're here to preview this year's team. Obviously, a lot of new faces, a lot of guys going to the NFL last year. C.J. Stroud, Jackson Smith-Njigba, the list goes on and on. Lost both offensive tackles. Brady, let's go ahead and break down the offense here, okay?
Yep. So
first off, let's hold on. Let's go to O-line here. O-line starting off, okay? It's the toughest one. Tell me who you think your projected line is going to be.
Yeah, so the offensive line is going to be right tackle. We're going to have Joshua Simmons, transfer out of San Diego State.
Yeah.
Right guard, we're going to play Matt Jones once again. Center, we're going to have Carson Hinsman making his first year starting. Left guard is going to be Donovan Jackson. That one's a no-brainer. Probably the best overall lineman on the team. And then left tackle is likely to be Josh Fryer.
Yep. I would say I would tend to agree with that there. So there's your projected O-line for us here. Now, receivers, obviously, just loaded top to bottom. Okay, Marvin, Emeka, and then a ton of good threes. A lot of good threes. There's no question in my mind. It's crazy. When you really break it down for Ohio State, they have the best one, the best two, and I think the best three in the receivers. Like, if you break each team down in college football, you look at the number one receiver, the number two receiver, and the number three receiver. They have the best at each one of those spots. Brady, who do you think ends up being the starting three this year?
Well, it's going to be Julian again. It'd be shocking to me if he didn't, based off what's been going on. But the other guy that could be is Jaden Ballard. He's definitely a guy that could break into that three spot, waiting his turn. It's going to be his third year. And then Cardinal Tate, he's the other guy. And we can't forget about his X.
Yeah, Xavier Johnson as well, yes.
The running back position at OSU this year is actually probably the most loaded compared to the rest of the country.
Absolutely.
It's the deepest running back room in Ohio State history, in my opinion. It's actually pretty crazy how deep this room is. Top to bottom, it's the best running back room in the country, but nobody's ready for that conversation. You got Travion Henderson, proved it his freshman year that he was one of the best running backs in the country that season. Mayan Williams took over last season when Trey had his injuries and was our RB1. Great running back. Dallin Hayden, one of the best freshman running backs in the country last season and really won us the game against Maryland. Definitely would start pretty much anywhere in the country. Chip Tranum, transfer from Arizona State, started for them as a freshman. Ran for 200 yards in multiple games, was a really good running back for them. Transferred to play linebacker, now he's back to running back. Then you got the wild card, one of the most talented running backs in the country with Evan Pryor. Evan Pryor is one of the best receiving backs we've had in a while. We just haven't seen it because he hasn't gotten snaps because last year he was going to be the thing about Pryor was he was going to make a huge impact last year,
yes.
Then towards ACL. I mean, this was going to be one of our main keys to last season in our passing game.
Even to add to that, I know it's spring ball, but last year's spring game, Evan Pryor was the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Had a great spring game. And we named five guys there. Can't forget about Xavier Johnson as well. He will never play running back this year. But last year we were so depleted, he still ended up playing running back. So we got six guys deep.
He's a beast.
I will go along with this with Brady. We have the best room in America.
Yep.
The problem is we're never
able to play.
90% of the time we're never getting five deep. So when people say Michigan or Penn State or Georgia, whoever has the best running back room, the 1-2 punch, yes, I agree. We don't have the best 1-2 punch in America. We have a damn good one, but we might not have the best one in America. Okay, but in terms of top to bottom running back room, it's the best in America. Okay, let's transition over to quarterback here, Brady.
Quarterback, yep. This is an important one. This is the one where you've got two guys that are really competing, but you've also got a freshman coming in and a seventh-year senior from Oregon State that started games before. The obvious front runner, I don't think it's a question that Kyle McCord is the likely starter this year. Does that mean he plays the whole season? It does not. Devin Brown is that close to him. To me, I do think Brown has the higher ceiling. I do think he probably has the better tools, if you so to speak. I think he has the better arm. But Kyle has probably the higher floor. Kyle started a game. He's been in the system for a couple years now. This will be his third year. And he is a big dude. He's got a big frame. He can sling it. Connection with Marvin in high school. And then Lincoln Kindholes, I know people are just counting him out. There could be some packages for him to run the football. He was an absolute stud running the ball in high school. You never know against a team that is over athletic on defense that like gets too close to the quarterback. Last year, our guy didn't really take off too much until the Georgia game, and he really could have gotten a lot of yards. I think if we could utilize that a little bit, that could be big for this team. And then Gebbia brings a veteran presence to the room. The tight end position at Ohio State is also pretty deep, if I do say so myself.
I would agree. Obviously, Cade Stover coming back this season is tremendous. We have a lot of young guys as well that can play. Go ahead. Who do you think number 2 is going to be on the depth chart?
So number 2, I think, has to be Joe Royer to start the year.
Joe, but I'm telling you what, dude. The things we've heard about Jelani Thurman, how freaky he is, big physical guy.
Yep.
He's not as big as Darnell Washington, but dude, he kind of fits that mold as the type of player where he can be really athletic, especially coming over the middle, making plays. I think you're going to see a lot of tight ends. I think you're going to see a lot. Even in Ohio State's history, we haven't necessarily targeted tight ends quite a bit. Over the past few years, we have targeted more under Ryan Day's system with Rucker, and Cade Stover last year had a great year as well. But I think you're going to see a lot of packages because Ryan Day likes to use 2 tight ends at times. He likes to use other guys, put tight ends even in a fullback leading blocker role at times. So I think you're going to see all 3 of them. But I do agree with you. I think Joe Royer ends up being number 2 at the start of the season. Yeah,
and Stover presents a matchup problem because, he's one of those guys that's thick. He's got the blocking ability, and he can catch the ball. I feel like he might be the most complete on the team overall.
Oh, yeah.
So he'll be the number 1 guy, even though that Michigan game was shaky. That might have been the least matchup problem he presented all year last year. But hopefully he'll bounce back. He's definitely thinking about that. And then, definitely made some good points about Jelani Thurman. Jelani Thurman should have a good freshman season.
Switching sides of the ball here, we're going to talk about the Silver Bullets. Last year in the key moments, no question had some bloopers, I guess you would say. Just knucklehead plays, mental errors. Cam Martinez stands out. But I will say at times it was definitely a step up from the year before.
Yeah.
We returned a lot of dudes, man. A lot of dudes. The entire defensive line's back, and I think it's the best defensive line in the sport.
Zach Harrison, but yeah, I know what you're
saying. Yeah. Besides Zach Harrison, yes.
Yeah.
The entire defensive line, it feels like everybody's back, really.
Yeah, no.
And Zach Harrison was a great player, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But JTT, Jack Sawyer, Mike Hall, Tyleek Williams, Kenyatta Jackson, who I think could be a wild card this year.
Yeah, Caden Curry. Stud.
I mean, just a loaded defensive line. I look at these guys right here. I think you potentially could have 2 first-rounders next year. Potentially
4.
I think that could be your take. I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying potentially means that could possibly be.
Right. I think you could have 2 other guys that end up in the top 60 picks.
Who are your guys?
I think Mike Hall and JTT.
So Mike Hall, okay.
I think Mike Hall and JTT are the first round guys, fringe guys, or not fringe guys, but guys that I think their ceiling's first round. I think Tyleek is probably second round. I think his ceiling could be first round as well, but I would have Tyleek and then
Big
Jack possibly the second round coming out. That's potential now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say it's hard for all 4 of those guys to have humongous years.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They can have good years, but not humongous. Where they're all going to end up being first round draft picks. And then linebackers. We have the two guys that I think have both had really good years for the most part. Tommy, the quiet leader, should have been All-American last year, wasn't. Steel Chambers, who's fast, the running back turn linebacker. What do you think about the linebacker room?
I think it's the best overall duo of linebackers in the Big Ten starting wise, but it could be the best by more if we started CJ Hicks. I think CJ Hicks is an absolute freak at the linebacker spot. He would be a game changer. He'd be a Ryan Shazier. Malik Harrison was an absolute stud at the thing CJ's good at, coming off the edge, fast blitzes. He's very fast, very athletic. Good in coverage. He showed that in the spring game. He was getting his hand on every one of McCord's passes at the beginning. I think this is a good linebacker room. Cody Simon is your fourth. If you just play those 4 linebackers, then you also got a high 4-star in Gabe Powers that's going to be a sophomore. It's a deep linebacker room. Both of these positions we talked about, D-line and linebacker, it is a deeper room than the Wolverines. There's just no question about it.
Absolutely.
And
I think the front seven on the defense side of the ball is better than Michigan's front seven, just my opinion.
Agreed.
I think the secondary is where the biggest question mark is for Ohio State.
On defense, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Obviously, Denzel Burke, Jordan Hancock's coming back, Lathan Ransom, and I think Sonny Styles will end up playing safety as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
And then we still have to find the nickel guy as well. So who do you see as those 5 defensive backs playing?
So my personal opinion of who the 5 starters will be this year, or at least by the end of the season where crunch time matters, I think your corner is going to be Denzel. I think he's kind of solidified.
Jair Brown, possibly. What about Davison Benosa?
Davison's my other guy.
Okay.
I think Davison Igbenogson is my other starter. Played for Ole Miss, started as a freshman.
Yeah.
Lathan Ransom, safety. Definitely screwed us in big moments last year to keep it 100. Definitely should improve. He wasn't bad until the end. And then I think Jihad Carter from Syracuse. I feel like he lands a starting spot this year.
Mm-hmm.
He pick sixes, fumble recovery. He was great last year.
Right.
And then the third guy, I think Josh Proctor is finally going to start a full season.
Wow. Yeah. I totally forgot about him. He feels like he's been here forever.
It's crazy on this team. And Sonny Styles definitely should start as well.
Getting into the schedule now,
Yeah.
I think it's one of the toughest in the country. Now, don't get me wrong, the first 3 games are, the cupcakes. Last year we opened with Notre Dame. We get Notre Dame at Notre Dame week 4 this year, obviously. And then crossover into Big Ten, we're traveling to Wisconsin, which should be a night game, be my guess, in Camp Randall. I'm lucky enough to be attending that game. It's going to be great. Seeing jump around in the fourth quarter will be awesome. But at Wisconsin, that's with Lou Fickle at the helm. I can't imagine that's going to be any kind of cupcake at all. I think Wisconsin's going to be really, really solid football team this year. So at Wisconsin, at Notre Dame, at Purdue is another crossover. We've seen what happens at Purdue when you're a Buckeye fan. Okay, even going back to the early 2000s with Drew Brees, when Ohio State went to Purdue with Drew Brees torched Ohio State there. We lost there, and then obviously the 2018 debacle. And then obviously we play Penn State, and then we're at Michigan again. So I think those are your 4 toughest games right there off the dome for me at least. How do you see the schedule playing out? What do you end up foresee Ohio State's record as being this year?
Yeah, it's a big time, really tough schedule. Definitely one of the toughest in years. We probably play the worst away game duo in the country, the toughest, with being at Notre Dame and at Michigan. That's just 2 places you don't want to be playing at. I think it's a tough schedule, and yet I think we'll be 11-1. I think we'll lose 1 game, which is not bad for a team that has a new quarterback, lost the first round. We lost arguably the best quarterback, offensive tackle, and wide receiver. That's like how good this team's, how big of an offensive setback you're supposed to see with this team. But the recruiting of the wide receiver position and quarterback position has put us to the spot where we have 2 5-star quarterbacks, and wide receiver is the same because JSN didn't play last year. So they'll have great guys to throw to. I still think this is probably the best offense in the nation.
Yeah, I think Ohio State goes 12-0 this year. I think it's definitely a tough schedule, but I just think the talent is just going to outlay it, and I don't think we're losing to Michigan 3 times in a row. I just don't see it happening. I don't think Notre Dame's talented enough to hang with us, and I think just Ryan Day usually when everyone has the huge talent advantage, he doesn't slip up like Urban Meyer's Ohio State teams have in the past against teams that he should beat.
Agreed. Definitely think that too.